Is it possible to fall in love with an arcade? Well, I did back in 1984. Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer, guys. Back in 1984, when I was still a young pop, let me tell you, something happened to me that had never happened to me before in my life. I fell in love. Not with a girl, I wasn't there yet. But I fell in love with my local arcade. The year was 1984. Let me take you back. And a brand new arcade had opened in our town. It was going to be our local arcade. Up to that point, there was only the arcade at the mall, and we had a local ice cream shop where, you know, we'd take our friends or whatever and we'd go have ice cream there. But this was going to be it. This was going to be the first quote-unquote big arcade that was going to open in the neighborhood. Now this place, just so you can get a sense of size, it was probably like 20 by 40 feet, you know, rectangle. And when I walked in, guys, it was magical. It was one of those moments in your life that you remember, right? Because I remember everything about the entrance because I was so in awe of what I was seeing, okay? So I go in there and I'm walking in, guys. And as I'm walking in, I'm not kidding you. This is exactly how it happened. As I'm walking in, the flock of seagulls are playing on a projection screen TV. Remember those that mounted to the ceiling and they would project on a screen? You know, and that was pointed to the corner. I had never seen one of those until that point. I'd seen them on magazines, on TVs, but I'd never seen one for real. None of us in the neighborhood had seen. This was like the latest and greatest high tech. You know, back in the East LA, you know, back in those days. And, you know, I walked in and I remember seeing the screen. The flock of seagulls was playing. I ran. And I remember the arcade machines that were there. To this day, I can remember the lineup. I walk in. The first machine was Star Wars. The second machine was Gravatar. The third machine was Black Widow. And the fourth machine, before getting to the snack shop was Punch Out. And they were all in pristine condition. And the first machine to the left, right as soon as you walked in the door, because you would walk in the door and these machines, I tell you, they were on the left side. The snack shop would be right in the front, where they had the best killer nachos ever. And this is how I make my nachos to this day. When my friends come to visit me, you know, my old friends from the neighborhood, this is exactly what I make. I'm the only one that makes them, right? You know, there was just amazing nachos. We had great times there. You know, so that was lined up there. On the right-hand side was Saxon, Elevator Action, and the third game, I believe, was Galaga. You know, that one's a little blurry, but I remember those cabinets specifically. And, you know, further down the line, there was Trojan, there was Vanguard, there was all the way to the back against the wall was Berserk. You know, I can remember the lineup. Towards the center, the first machine on the left-hand side, right on the center was Donkey Kong, and then there was Junior Donkey Kong next to it. It's just like, you know, I walk in, and guys, to this day, I remember the smell. Like, there was an aura about this place. I just remember the impact and just remembering, like, oh my gosh, I found home. This is where I belong. This is where I was meant to be, you know, and it sure was. You know, we didn't have to go, you know, stand at the burger joint anymore. We had a place to go now with my friends, right? Like on the weekends when we spent time together, usually, you know, we'd have to take the bus to the mall. At that point, before, you know, my oldest friend got a car, we had, you know, take the bus everywhere. Now we didn't have to do that. We had a local arcade with all the premium games there. You know what else they did that was amazing at this arcade? They would have all the fights. The owner would have all the fights. I remember watching the Sugar Ray Leonard fight, you know, with Hagler. We watched it there. And we watched a couple of Sugar Ray fights, as a matter. I watched the Beast Mugabe fight there with Hagler. That's where we would go with my friends, you know, to watch these sporting events. The guy would have them. And the rest of the time, MTV was on the background. I mean, this guy knew what he had. And that place, you know, pretty soon the cops figured out that when we ditched, we would go there. So then the owner was like, hey, you guys can't be here right now. Because, you know, we'd always ditch. But yeah, I mean, it was a place, guys, where that moment, right? I didn't know what love was yet, right? I'd never fallen in love or what have you. But man, when I saw this arcade, guys, when I walked into this arcade, it was magical, man. I love at first sight with the arcade. Like, I knew what this place was. The food, you know, and it was Munchies. The food was Munchies. You know, the killer nachos was the big plate. You know, they had like popcorn and hot dogs, you know, and candy bar, stuff like that. But everybody would go there for nachos. You know, that was the place. And soon enough, it got so popular. I mean, it would get packed and people would be standing outside. You know, and eventually over the years, of course, all the weed smokers started coming out. All kinds of seedy activity started going around there as the years went by, right? But it was that first year that we spent there. It was freaking magical. I don't know about you guys, right? We all have the arcade that we remember playing in. And that, you know, when we were younger, before they opened the big mall, you know, every town had a big mall. Before they opened the big mall, this was it for us, as you know, as little kids. And we would go to the mall afterwards. You know, after we had cars, we had jobs. I worked at the mall, stuff like that, man. But I'll never forget that very first time I was at that arcade. And I didn't live too far away from the arcade, from Gulf and stuff, which was the arcade where they shot the Karate Kid at. Right, there was like, you know, 15-minute drive from my house, right? It wasn't far. People would go there, especially after the movie. Everybody wanted to go there just to like pose and take pictures and stuff, because the movie got real popular, right? But as nice as that was, you know, which was a bigger arcade and everything, they had everything there. I remember my aunts used to take me for they took me for like Christmas, you know, as a big gift. But man, nothing beat the first time I walked into my arcade, right? What I felt was my arcade and my friend's arcade and where we grew up. I don't know how it was for you guys. I know I'm being over nostalgic about this stuff sometimes, but you know, these are the significant times in my life, in my youth, right? And these are the moments now that my friends and I talk about. This is what we talk about. You know, our wives are probably thinking, oh, these guys are talking about they're talking about, you know, women, or, you know, no, we're not. We're talking about, you know, the old arcade and the killer nachos and, you know, all the stuff that went there. I mean, I wasn't a weed guy as much as both of my buddies. They loved weed, man. These guys would smoke for breakfast, you know what I'm saying? And when we got there, these fools had the munchies. You know, once in a while I would too, but I was more into the games. I really wanted to play the games. And just weed was just never my thing, guys. It's just not that, you know, I mean, the times that I got to smoke, and one of them was in that arcade, there was this Hawaiian girl, man, that I was just, you know, like a year after or something, that I really, really wanted to be with. But she loved weed. She gave me a little roach and I was out of my mind. I don't know what she was smoking. But guys, that is my arcade, right? Those are my stories. This is where I grew up. And I'm sure you guys have similar experiences, right? And the sad part is, you know, and I was just typing this in the comment section, is that, you know, we can go back to our old bar, right? My friends and I. We can go to the first strip joint that we ever went to, right? We can go to the old restaurants. We can do all that stuff, but we never can. The mall is gone, and the arcade has been gone for decades. We can never relive those times. It's not like other things that you're nostalgic for, you know, and those are memories that we only share. And I'm sure you guys have some of the same stories. But anyway, I wanted to share mine, you know, because it was, I'm telling you, until that moment as a little kid, I had never experienced, you know, real romantic love. This is the closest thing that I got to when I saw this place, you know, and MTV was on the background. We had killer nachos. We had arcades. I had everything. I was a rich man right there, right? Possessions don't make you rich, like Bob Marley said. But living a rich life, that's the secret, right? That is the real secret. And for me, guys, at least during those days, I was living a rich life. All right, humans, thank you so much for stopping by, joining me. I'm cleaning around the house. It's Saturday. I was going to finish up with a tree over there, and it started raining, so I just came in here and shot a video. Right, so now I got to go clean up and see what I can pick up. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure you like and subscribe. Right, hit that like button for me, and join if you can. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.